it all up a little bit, and we're going to have, there's a request from Idr, from the Amazigh community. You have the floor, sir.
شكرا.
Thank you.
بالنسبة لنا تحية الأمازيغية.
For us,
يعني في المناطق الأمازيغية. أنا هنا أمثل أمازيغ كوميونيتي أمريكا أو منظمة
I represent the Amazigh community America. I come from the north of Africa, and you know where it is. This is an Amazigh region, Amazighs who are in the north of Africa. This language is more than 4,000 years old. It existed before the pharaohs. There are archaeological sites where the traces of this language have been found in Burkina Faso and in Morocco, and also in Hogar in Algeria. That is why today transformations have taken place in my country, Morocco. Yes, my country, Morocco, in 2011 declared that Amazigh would be the second official language. The Arabs arrived more or less 1400 years ago. And so the Arabs came to the area, but they are now in power, and that is a big problem. We have a big problem in Morocco, which is that we are here to commemorate the International Day, the International Year of Indigenous Languages, and the Amazigh language is suffering today, even if there is a recognition of the status of the language. The Constitution does recognize this as an official language, but there is a problem. What is it that we want in Morocco? What do indigenous peoples want? We've listened to the speakers, but we would like to say the following. The indigenous language, the Amazigh language, must be included in school programs, in school curricula, but we nevertheless are seeing some backsliding on that front because this language is not always available as a language of instruction in schools. There aren't enough teachers in schools, and sometimes teachers are appointed, but they don't have the requisite experience to teach that language. The teachers really need to master this language. My mother is Amazigh. My name is Idir, which is an Amazigh name, and they decided to use that name, but at a certain point, those names were no longer able to be registered as official names. But recently, and following this constitutional reform that I mentioned, some names can now be officially adopted. But as I said, there is nevertheless backsliding taking place in education, and the documentation of this language is not what we would want. That is to say that artists and intellectuals those who express themselves through the medium of the Amazigh language, dance, theatre, music, and so on, they express themselves through the language. And so now, as I'm speaking, even today, in Agadir, a region which has an Amazigh name, a ceremony is being organized, which unfortunately is something that Amazigh artists have been excluded from. It's only international artists that are allowed to participate. And so today the Amazigh language is being excluded in Agadir in Morocco. How can that be explained? The Amazigh language is used on street signs in the past, but that's no longer the case. We can see all of these political trends. But how do we address the indigenous, how can it be that indigenous languages and indigenous peoples are being treated in this way? Why do people want to change the future of the Amazigh people? We speak the language in all aspects of our lives. Now, an Islamist party has brought a document to the Moroccan Parliament to discuss this subject, namely adopting a language other than Amazigh, that is to say, not using our alphabet, but using a different alphabet. There needs to be diversity, and the Amazigh language, which has existed for more than 4,000 years, must be preserved. But how can we do that if there are people who are resisting and fighting against us? You spoke about exclusion and racism and so on. The UN Special Rapporteur for the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and the Special Rapporteur against Racism said that the Amazigh people faces exclusion and other forms of discrimination in Morocco, which means that the state has put in place discriminatory laws. More than 100, the former Secretary General, who is the Prime Minister in my country, accepted this legislation, meaning that Amazigh land was taken into public ownership to be used by the states of the Gulf. That is to say, the petrodollar states. So they are exploiting our lands.
Can you conclude?
نعم في الأخير أقول لكم تنميرتنون وهي
To conclude,
زيغية
thank you, Otammenua in Amazigh.
Thank you very much. And this, in fact, with this intervention, you could see that there are certain gaps and challenges that remain, yet there are also some positive developments, as, for instance, the recognition of Amazigh as an official language. And I think this also provides an opportunity for other countries to also follow this example, because in many other countries around the world, I know